We're going to look at writing directions. This is the launch to this part of the unit, and since we're going to be going through a lot of different concepts, you might want to take notes. So, here we go. One of the most important aspects of writing directions is to know your audience. That means that you should know the vocabulary level that your audience can handle. You should know the background knowledge with which they will approach this task. You should know your audience. You should also have empathy for your audience. That means you have to be alert to the fact that typically when people start reading directions, they're already frustrated. Most people just try to do things on their own and then, seek directions when they're frustrated or failing. So you must write for clarity, and you must keep in mind that that's when people are nervous or tired or confused. So have empathy for your audience and think about them at all times. When you write directions, you should always start with a brief introduction. Now, this isn't the same type of introduction as we use in our papers. It's, it's technical writing, so it's a little bit different, a little bit more straightforward, with a little different focus. You should always clarify the purpose of the directions. What is it you intend to do? You should always specifically clarify your audience. If there's something in the audience that it discludes me, then I at least know to go somewhere else. And then you should also clarify the circumstances in which this set of directions is relevant. So purpose, audience, and circumstances. When you write directions, you are going to be tempted to be the average student you have always been, to write in paragraphs, to detail and have development, but no. You can have only one step per number, only one action, only one thing. Now, if one part of the action has sub-steps, then you better use nesting. If under the nesting there's even more sub-steps, you better use bullets. This is best seen in the example of threading a bobbin that's shown in class. You may wonder what's nesting. Well, nesting is breaking down complex steps into sub-steps and using indenting. Why don't you take a look at these logs right here? They're all exactly at the same indentation. If you push a couple logs in, then there's a little bit more visual clarity. Pushing it in, indenting, sub-steps, brings clarity and is known as nesting. Take a look at this in the bobbin one. You'll see it more clearly. It's important to know that when you write directions, you write each step as a command. It isn't a passive voice like the red button should be pushed, but rather push the red button. The commanding verb starts first, and you can kind of forget about being polite. It's not please sit down, but sit down. You should avoid tentative wording. Anything that's like might or maybe or could simply introduces a little bit of confusion and makes your reader a little bit hesitant. Use precise terms. Be as clear as you can be in your language. For instance, an M6 times 90 bolt versus pick up the bolt. The more clear you are, the less likely there is for mistakes. Now, you don't always have to do this. There are always exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, keep sentences under 20 words. Once again, think about your audience. They're frustrated, they want to understand things, they want them quick, they want to be fast. Also remember earlier in the semester when we studied the fog index. You want crisp, clear, short sentences, partially for the widest audience. Always try to reinforce with a picture or a visual. I want you to take a look at how McDonald's Happy Meals have changed, at least in my lifetime. When we got Happy Meals, there was originally this set of instructions and there was always words. For the last decade or so, which tells you how old I am, they are only pictures. Some people argue that the pictures are because McDonald's is such a multinational corporation. There is some truth to that. I concede that. But mostly it is also because pictures are how we communicate increasingly in our society. More and more icons tell you more than words. So reinforce your directions with a picture or a visual. Well, that picture didn't show up. I apologize for that. You must insert warnings near appropriate steps. Warnings are part of directions. It could be, warning, this will be hot. Warning, make sure the glue is completely set. You have to think about what might go wrong before you actually give your directions. You should always test and revise your directions. Give them to somebody and have them work it out. Now, you three should make sure that you exchange notes just for that purpose. And that's it for today. I hope you have fun coming up with the directions you want to write.